morning. Happy Saturday. I hope you are all well. It's a beautiful day here in Yorkshire. The sun is shining. I can't wait to get outside and do some hiking today. I'm not sure what you're all doing, but hopefully we're getting out too. But for now, for the next half an hour, welcome to another episode of the Holiday Lowdown live show with me, Lyndsey Thomas. I am the founder of Girl About and, of course, the Girl About Travel Club. I've got a really exciting guest with me today, another inspirational female, another female founder in the travel industry, and just an all-round really great woman, and I can't wait to be chatting to her in a minute. So we are streaming in 3 different places this morning. Please, I am using StreamYard, so please give StreamYard permission to use your name, so that if you are commenting, and please do, please, hit the like button, hit the heart button, drop some comments. We'll try and answer any questions, but I will only be able to answer questions live if you are tuning in via the Girl About Facebook travel community and not via my own personal Facebook feed. We're also streaming into the travel club, so this, as with all of our lives, will be available for you to replay in the travel club, which is free to join right now for limited time only. So it's a no-brainer. So make sure you signed up. There is a whole host of amazing lives and content over there. We're literally wrapping up now 3 months of staycation content. That's 2 lives every single week since the beginning of January. We've been all over the country. We've spoken to some incredible women. So if you are looking for inspiration for your staycation this year and of course next year, then please do delve in, have a look around and have a watch of some of those great replays. I'm going to bring Susie in now, and we're going to crack on and chat about holiday home or family home swapping. Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Susie, how are you?
Thank you for my lovely introduction.
That's okay. And it's always so great to chat to you because, like me, you're always super bright with lots going on. And look at that necklace.
I've got a Girl About cup colour.
Girl, you're on brand. And I'm loving that black wall in the background.
Thank you. I know, it's sort of extra pictures being added every week.
This black and yellow combo is great. Usually, I have, wonderful women, but with quite vanilla looking backgrounds sometimes, and I stand out, and it's great. But to have you here with so much colour is wonderful. So welcome, and it's going to be. I'm so looking forward to this chat because we've been chatting, haven't we, for a good year or so. I mean, I think we're in the same boat, really. Although you're a little bit ahead of me with your boat, I think. You've built up an incredible community over the last 4 or 5 years. And before we start to chat a bit about holiday home swap, Susie, let's just chat a little bit about your first venture, which is Our Tribe Travels, and I think really is intrinsic to what we're about to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, Our Tribe Travels is like my second child. I've been nurturing it for years. And it's essentially a family travel community for parents who like the more adventurous style of travel. And I set it up because I went backpacking with my son, who's now 10, but when he was a baby, I went backpacking around Southeast Asia for 8 months and found it really difficult to find that first-hand information about where to go and what to see. And actually, in that 8 months, only met 3 families on the road at the same time. And I knew there must be families out there. And that was the highlight of our trip, seeing these families and chatting about their experiences. So I just wanted to connect everybody who had this adventurous spirit to help each other to travel the world in a sort of a more unique way and discover the off the beaten track destinations, basically, that you think, can I really go there with kids? So between us,
you're a proper adventurer, aren't you? As a mum, you love just packing a rucksack and going off in a great and just so inspirational for a mum to do that alone as well.
Yeah, nothing booked. I took my son to Thailand a few years ago where we just didn't book anything. So we just rocked up at the airport, got the phone out because obviously it's very handy these days with the phone, found something close by for the first night. And then we just worked our way around a certain area. We knew roughly where we wanted to go. But I just love that sort of, fly by the seat of my pants, basically, I think is probably the best way to describe it. But yeah, between us in the group, we've trekked up mountains in Nepal with a toddler on our back. I've also done that. A lot of long-term travellers in the group who want to quit the 9 to 5, travel the world for a year or two with their kids, whether that's driving around the world or using public transport. And so the idea or the concept was, you know, if you want to do something that's a little bit different, you can ask a question and then get first-hand recommendations and knowledge from a parent who's been there and done that. And sometimes you can get on ground, not so much now with COVID, but quite often you can get on ground advice like, help, I'm in Vietnam, I'm in such and such a place, can anyone recommend somewhere to stay? And someone will say, oh, we've just been to so-and-so last week. And so it's really up-to-date information as well. And, you know, it's been hard to cultivate the group. It took a lot of work in the early days. I said to you, didn't I, you know, inviting people individually into the group. And if someone posted a question, I remember someone posting something about, we want to go to Mongolia with kids. I thought, well, I haven't been, nobody in the group had been. So I tracked down a family who has been, invite them to the group to then share their knowledge. So that's how it's built up. But now we visited 192 countries out of 195. So there's only 3 countries our group has.
What are the 3 countries? Tell me what the 3 countries are.
I knew you were going to ask me that. I can't tell. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I'm sure I've not been to any of them, but who knows? You know, I've done a bit of
But yeah, so what it is, and we like to do things, I guess, it's discovering those lesser known places and just doing something a little bit different. And then a couple of years ago, people in the group were saying, oh, you know, I live in, I don't know, Ecuador. I'd love to do a home swap with someone who lives in Costa Rica, for example. Does anyone live there? Oh, yeah, I live there. Quite fancy, you know, they would connect. And I said, look, they asked whether they could actually openly try and do home swapping through the Facebook group. But the problem is it's a bit of a free-for-all. It's hard to monitor and the responsibility. So I said, look, put it on hold. Let me see what I can do. So forward to 2021. And last year I launched a family home swap community and platform specifically for these families who want to do something more budget-led, because home swapping is very budget orientated, and also just to stay in places they might not necessarily consider for a typical holiday. So it's uncovering those places that they might not visit normally.
So you've got the Our Tribe Travels Facebook group, and that's what we're talking about here before we move on to family home swap. So how many people are actually in? How many families are in this group? Because it's
over 16,300 now. Yeah.
And it's just such a, I mean, I watch it with envy because it is such a, you know, an engaged group, you know. I mean, for any travel brand, I mean, you know, we aspire to have a group like that. You put something in that group and you get literally 10, 15, 20, you know, responses, sometimes more, don't you? So the local knowledge in that group. And I think the key difference, but I think between what you're doing and I'm doing, I suppose, is that you are doing it for the whole world, aren't you? You know, ours is much, you know, Girl About Travel is very much focused on, well, for now, UK, you know, and UK women, whereas you have built this community across the entire world and really being very clever at getting these, you know, these families to really connect on a really quite unique level.
And actually because you joined, we met, didn't we, a year ago? So it was just as COVID was, you know, coming into full swing. But actually prior to that, one of my favourite elements of the group was that we had so many families who were travelling long term that it was actually connecting them in person as they travelled as well. So we had, right in the early days, we had this thing called Karma Corner, which was where you offer up, you know, if a family comes near my location, we'd offer them a cup of tea, a dinner, an overnight stay. And that expanded, you know, around the world where people would host and get to meet each other. But then we'd also have posts where someone would say, oh, I'm going to be in, I don't know, Kuala Lumpur next week. Is anyone around? Do you want to meet for coffees? So what I used to absolutely love is people posting photos of here's 3 families that have met up from the community in Tokyo, or we had a party in New Zealand. And that was so heartwarming. I was like, yeah, people are getting together.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Because you're almost making the world smaller, aren't you, really? You know, you're connecting with people in a way that, you know, you know, it's the essence of what social media and social networking should be, isn't it, really? It's just, you know, it's fabulous for it to be so organic, I suppose, in that sense. And I think that's really I suppose why the whole idea behind family home swaps, that sort of is the next step, isn't it? You've got such a trusted audience, and I think that's key as well, isn't it? That to actually develop a brand where this audience can swap their homes is a genius, I suppose, idea. But I'd like to dig a little bit deeper, because until last night, when I decided to join family home swaps, which I understand, as I've just done it, it's free to join. How that works in terms of the cost to the whole, to the homeowner. I mean, I've just joined up. I've put some lovely pictures on. I've promoted my lovely house in Yorkshire. If anybody wants to come and stay, then they can do. But how does it work? Apart from filling in some information on your website.
Yeah, so I mean, I wanted to still cultivate that community feel, which we had in the Our Tribe Travels group. So. And that was really important. I didn't want it to be a faceless website where it's like a simple transaction. I wanted to keep that community spirit. So there is also, I created a new Facebook community specifically for people who wanted to family home swap. So that's got just over 1,600 people in it already. And also, as well as being a simple way for people to connect with other families and also to publicize their own home listing, it was a way of saying, finding other people who might not necessarily have added their listing yet to say, I live in blah, blah, blah. I'd love to go to X. And so that was the sort of the way that I wanted people to talk to each other, really. And then also use the website as the main anchor where they can actually facilitate the booking. So there's no joining fee, no membership fee, because I wanted it to be value driven. So essentially you can add your home listing for free, and then you just pay when you find a suitable exchange. And I thought that was fair as well, because you know what it's like when you're building something up from scratch, from the ground up. You can't charge somebody something if there's nothing on there to swap with, you know what I mean? So I thought, let's build it up slowly, and then people will get value. If they don't exchange or they don't find something they want at that time, that's fine. They don't lose any money. If they find something, then they get great value in the exchange. So in normal times, a 3-week home exchange is £70 per family. But at the moment, I've got a special offer of £5. I mean, bargain.
Yeah.
£5.
So if you find a house that you like and there's an opportunity, both families agree to the terms, then it's just £5 per family right now to do that swap, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then with that £5, I've just actually, because one of the questions that comes up is, what about any damage to the home or insurance? I looked into this extensively, actually, in the entire, home swap market, because there are so many people and large companies that do this anyway. It's very rare to have any major damage to your property, or, you might have a broken glass or something, but nothing major. But still people want that peace of mind. So I've just partnered with Superhog, who are a global leader in insurance, or guarantees, I should say, for this type of exchange. And so even with the £5, every person who books is biometric verified. So who you say you are is who you are. Mm-hmm. And secondly, you get a guarantee for liability and accidental damage. So if anyone hurts themselves when they're in your property, you're guaranteed for up to £1 million. And if there's any accidental damage, again, £1 million. So if you went to someone's house and then their boiler flooded the house, not only would that damage to the owner be covered, but the family who are staying there would also be able to go to a hotel and claim all the expenses back for staying in the hotel because they can't stay in the house. So that was something that
I might home swap and go and accidentally trip my husband up if that's what you get. That was a joke. Sorry.
Husband.
So, I mean, I've got some questions. Just from my own personal, my experience of putting my house on there last night. And these are the questions I think probably everybody will have. So let's just go through them.
Sure.
So we've talked a little bit about how it works. So what if somebody loves the idea but doesn't necessarily live in a particularly touristy area or great area?
So I think this question has come up before. And we've got so many expats in the Our Tribe Travels group, and then also who've sort of moved over to family home swaps as well. So for them, actually, they just want, when they want to do a home swap, a lot of the time they want to come back to their home country and stay with or stay near friends and family. So they might not necessarily need to be anywhere that's particularly touristy. They just want a house. Like someone the other day was actually looking for somewhere. I need to find somewhere just outside Leeds. So you'd be perfect. So, you know, it doesn't have to, people aren't necessarily home exchanging for a typical holiday. They're actually home exchanging to be living somewhere for a short period of time, which are near friends and family. And that was a question that actually came up because we have a lovely lady called Carly who has a villa in Bali. So people were saying, why would she want to swap with me? I mean, I love the look of her Bali villa, but why would she want to come to the UK? And she was like, no, I would love to come somewhere like that because that's where I've got lots of friends. So don't necessarily think of it that, you know, why I might not have anything immediate to offer. And also we want to uncover the places that those families spend their time. So everybody's got their favourite cafes, attractions that they might drive to, or, you know, places to walk near their house. So those are the things that people share in their profiles and their listings. And there might be a family who just loves to walk, and you might be in the middle of nowhere, but all they want to do is go off for the day and walk.
Well, number 9 Barrowby Close is now listed on there. This is a perfect place for a bit of hiking. But
I know.
It's crazy that I could actually swap my house with somebody in the Caribbean for 3 weeks, and you know, and have a swimming pool. And I was looking at some of the houses on listed on the website. There was this incredible one in, I think it was Australia or New Zealand, with this incredible terrace and pool. And it was just like, oh my God, for £5 I can actually just swap houses and go and have a couple of weeks in Australia, assuming they want to come to Yorkshire. But it's just such a great way, isn't it, of getting to somewhere and having the space. And I suppose from a family perspective, which we'll get onto in a minute, having, you know, what you need as a family within that home. Is there, and onto that, is there sort of a certain expectation in terms of what a home or a house should offer?
No, I think the reason I thought there was a gap in the market is that I've been on to, I mean, I used to home swap as a kid with my parents' friends. We used to go camping, or we'd swap with friends, and I have some really fond memories of that. And they were just, you know, typical normal houses. And so when I looked at some of the bigger sites, quite often I'd find somewhere, and then you scroll down, it says no children under 12. And anyway, it made me feel a bit anxious thinking about swapping with someone who didn't have kids, even if they were welcoming children and, you know, a vet and everything. So it's a level playing field. Everyone has kids. And I think the expectation is it's just a comfortable family home. You don't have to have the Instagram perfect home. That was one thing that I was really clear about when I launched it. This isn't about having the perfect house. This is about having a normal house. If you've got a great house, brilliant. But if you haven't, it doesn't matter, because there will be another family with a normal house that wants to home exchange, especially coming up to this summer when, you know, property to rent in, you know, well, you'll know the prices in the UK for domestic holidays are sky high, aren't they? But if you can exchange with a family who live in a different area of the country and you're sick of the sight of your four walls, then you'd welcome it. So it's just about having all those kiddie things when you get there, the games and the bikes, and you might have a trampoline in the garden. So you don't have to have a specific type of house at all.
And what if I'm quite a clean freak. What happens if what if somebody's home isn't up to scratch, in my opinion, and I get there, and, you know, is that something that I just have to just get on with?
These are things that, I mean, because it's not like a booking in the sense that you're just doing a transaction and that's it, you don't have any conversations. We encourage people to actually get to know their host family, so and chat to each other. And obviously with technology, you can chat for free on your FaceTime or whatever. And so we've got prompt sheets. So when you make your booking, there are some prompts which actually have been guided by the community of what you would expect when you arrive. You know, would you expect to have milk, wine, beer in the fridge? These are all sort of prompts that you discuss with your family. So some families have said, like, I would get a professional cleaner in for 2 hours to clean the house so that it's ready. Other people are quite happy just cleaning it themselves. But it's just having that conversation where the expectations are discussed in advance. I think that's the same
for leaving the house as well. I mean, leaving it how you find it. I mean, because sometimes I know I've got a good friend who owns a holiday cottage in the Yorkshire Dales, and she's had what you would expect to be pretty, decent families that have wrecked the place, and left her with damage and all sorts of stuff.
Yes, there's expectation levels on what to do when you leave as well. So maybe you both organise for a professional cleaner to come in and clean, or maybe you just say, oh, we'll leave it as we found it, we'll clean it ourselves. Even down the prompts on the booking sheet are things like, do you strip the beds? Do you want the washing put in the washing machine, or should we just leave it? So all those conversation pointers we've made prompts for, so that you can have those open discussions. And it's not, I guess it's like anything. If you book somewhere on an Airbnb, you don't actually know what you're going to get when you arrive, but in most cases it's absolutely fine. So
Rebecca wants to know, do you have to swap for 3 weeks, or could it be just like a couple of days, a weekend? Is there a time limit? Or
no time limit, long weekend, £45. So it could be something, at the beginning of half term, you just fancy going to a different city and exploring. So no, there's no limitation. Actually, that's something I should say. We do have, because we have these adventurous families who are in the group as well, who want to do longer swaps. So we've got a family in Uruguay who live in this lovely little fishing village, and they've said, look, we'd prefer to swap for 3 months plus, almost like a life swap. So I think some people are finding that they can actually work remotely over this COVID period. There is that opportunity with families to do a longer term swap and maybe go and live somewhere that you might never have considered, but without having to sell your home or rent your home out, you can do a direct swap.
So you could you could go and do it for 12 months, couldn't you, really, or longer, if the other party is up for that. That's if you're thinking about emigrating or whatever it might be, you could actually, my brain's ticking, you could actually just home swap, couldn't you, for 3 years, which is a great idea. We'll talk more about that. What about other, what about cars? Can you swap the cars?
You can. Again, that is, it's something we would say to discuss in advance. Some people just don't want to. Other people are quite open for that. And it's just obviously making sure that you've checked with your insurance provider and you've made sure that other people can drive it. But yeah, it's the open conversation. It's like any home swap site everything's open to discussion. So yeah.
That's the same with, again, I suppose it is similar to an Airbnb. Like wardrobe space and just those things you require to hang your clothes up. I'm assuming that, again, then is a conversation.
Yeah, we recommend that, and if there's anything valuable, and it's not necessarily in monetary terms either, it could be something that's a family heirloom that isn't worth anything, but you prefer it not to be, broken. Or it could be, your kids have got favourite toys, they get a bit precious about something. Those sort of things, just pop them in a cupboard and lock them, or, whatever, hide them away. And then just clear out some wardrobe space. As long as a family has got a few drawers and some hanging space for their clothes, space in the kitchen cupboard and space in the fridge, that's all that needs to be done, really.
And what about if you are doing, sort of more of a long-term solution? Who pays the bills? How does that all work?
Again, that depends on the home swap, because it depends where you're going. You could be going somewhere really cold where you're going to have the heating on all the time. So again, that's something that is open for discussion. I think that's the thing with the home swap platforms. Everything is unique. It depends how long you're swapping for, which countries you're going to. You could put a limit on, you could cover a certain amount of the bill, and then they have to pay anything over and above, just so that people don't have the heating on all day. But again, it's all unique scenarios.
And just tell us a little bit about sort of how many properties, you might have mentioned this already, how many properties you've got listed and some of the destinations that are up there already, just so we can start to.
Yeah, cool.
Our home swap.
We've got, I was saying to you earlier, 122 properties who've been fully listed. But actually only 83 of those are showing at the moment, because we've got a button on there where you can hide your listing. So people who can't travel because of COVID, or who've put them on for a previous offer, have just hidden them until they're ready. But we've got 17 different countries. So there's all sorts of, this is what I love about it as well. It's the unique destinations. So there's we've got places in New York and Washington, Phnom Penh, Kuala Lumpur, an amazing place in Riga in Latvia, Belgium, Scotland, Ireland, lots in England at the moment, because a lot of people are looking.
Yeah, there's lots in England, and this I mean, obviously this conversation was supposed to be focusing more on staycations, and we have gone across the world, which is great. But I mean, as you said earlier, from a staycation perspective, you know, you think prices are going to be through the roof. This is a really great way, isn't it, to go and just spend a few days in a different part of the UK.
Yeah, that's what I find in the conversations at the moment are people in the UK are just sick of the sight of their own four walls, and they just want to have something to look forward to that isn't going to cost them a fortune. So yeah, we've got lots of people in cities and the countryside, so that's a natural swap. We've got a lovely house in the Peak District actually, and naturally they want to go somewhere which is more urban. So particularly if you want to visit London, we've got quite a few places in London. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we did a home swap with our friends who lived in Reading, and that was the first time we'd ever ventured into London as a family. And I've got some amazing memories of that. And there's no way my parents would have been able to pay for a hotel in London. So I think, you know, those natural swaps, or we've got places down in Bristol on the beach and Cornwall. So yeah, I mean, you can see the conversation starting in the group about swapping. So that's exciting.
Brilliant. I mean, it just sounds such a great, you know, it's such a great way of holiday, isn't it? Especially right now. And I think it's going to get, you know, bigger and bigger. You know, I think what we've built with the community is sort of, as we mentioned earlier, really sort of integral to the success of this. And I know Rebecca's on, and she's got a lovely little flat in East London. I mean, that's just a great little, you know, swap it with you know, some nice little Cornwall beachy cottage. And
yes.
Have you got any sort of ski chalets or anything like that on? Or
yes, we've got one that was just added in. I wrote it down. Big White Ski Resort in Canada. Ski in, ski out.
Wow, there you go. If you're skiers, I mean, that is going to save somebody so much money, isn't it? Especially if you've got your own ski equipment and you can just go and
jockeys. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's giving you the personal touch. So I've interviewed some of the families in the group as well to find out, you know, what would you recommend other families do, what your favourite experiences in your local area is. Again, making it more personal than a typical website. So there's a lady who lives in Côte d'Ivoire in West Africa who has said that if someone exchanges with her, then she'll be able to put them in touch with like the local chief up the river, and she'll organise for them to go up the river, go around the local village, go and stay in a cocoa plantation, and so all that sort of thing. It's like the added extra is the icing on the cake, really.
So I've just completed my profile. So what happens if will somebody get in touch with me if they're sort of, you know, thinking about Yorkshire, or am I obliged to then turn around and say, yes, okay, we'll swap? I mean, I filled in a bit of a calendar which sort of said to any, you know, prospects who might want to come to Yorkshire, sort of when and where available. But am I now tied in? Do I have to hand my home over in the 6-week holiday?
No, it's all very relaxed. So you can be as active or non-active as you want to. So you can either just leave it on there and people will contact you through the website, or because there's a private chat function, or you can actually be more proactive and publicize it. So you could just, you know, copy the link from your home listing, add it into the Facebook group and say, I live in Yorkshire, I'd love to swap with someone living in, and name a place. Because actually what I am doing at the moment as we're growing it is, because we've got such a big secondary, well, Our Tribe Travels, the primary, I should say, community, I ask people, do you mind if I share this into the Our Tribe Travels group? So if someone's looking for something specific, I can publicise it in there to the wider group. So yes, you can be as active or non-active as you like, basically.
I might actually get a holiday this year. It was looking a bit dicey, but you know what? Share my house away. I'm excited. Brilliant. If somebody wants to join, where do they need to head to, basically? Tell everybody.
Okay. So the community is Family Home Swaps on Facebook, and the website is familyhomeswaps.com.
Brilliant. And it's as easy as that. Go on. Took me 10 minutes to upload some photos. I had some lovely photos from when my house was shot by an estate agent, so that was easy. So you will need to go around and take some photos of your house, won't you? But then it was done. It was easy as that. And yeah, I'm actually really considering swapping homes this summer. I'm on it. Yay! That was brilliant. Such a great chat. Such a great idea. Great concept. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or?
No, I think just come and join us, and you know, if you fancy a holiday, give me a buzz and I'll help you source one.
join the Facebook group, the Our Tribe Travels as well, because that's a great group.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all of you who have tuned in. This is available on replay. So you can, if you didn't see it all, then you can go and you can watch the whole 30 minutes in the Girl About Travel Club. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Holiday Lowdown live show. We're coming to the end of March, the end of our big staycations focus, and then we're going to be moving into the US of A as of April, so that should be fun. We'll be bringing in some women from across the States, so I will be back next week. Susie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
See you later. Take care and goodbye.
Bye.